It's time for the Other Three Amigos podcast. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
On this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast, we check in on the fallout from the price of sustainability. We talk about the David Meyler appointment as well as the Jornash soundbites. Declan Carey's hoping for Bluebell United in the FAI Cup. Bluebell United are not in the FAI Cup. We talk about the improved performance against Shels and how Mbengs and Daniels drove Duffer absolutely insane. All of this and more, including your mailbag, on this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 19, Episode 279 of your multi-award winning podcast. Throw us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening in on. Dan Casey here, and I'm joined by my other two amigos tonight, the two Deckies, Declan McCormick, and the Ark himself, Declan Carey. Why not join us on Patreon, patreon.com/ToeTap, where you can indeed listen into the latest ToeTap offering of our chat with Kieran Maguire. Lads, with the 2V on this one. Decky, the OG Decky, will go to you first. How did you get on with Kieran?
Brilliant, genuinely. An exceptionally nice man, first off. Very insightful, was very good to us, came on, eventually, but came on. And we had a great chat, touched on a lot of things. It was probably a lot more league-wide than just Cork City focused, but obviously we brought it back to Cork City on some points, but very enjoyable chat. I hope people enjoyed it, got something out of it, and it's sitting there on Patreon for anybody who wants to have a listen to world-renowned football economist Kieran Maguire.
And Declan Carey, you were talking about self-sustainability. What points came up there without giving too much away?
Yeah, like the name of the pod, Dan, is the price of sustainability. So, look, I think, to be fair, Kieran did a little bit of research into Cork City FC and the League of Ireland before he joined us. And, it was amazing how much his opinions kind of resonated with, I guess, all of our individual opinions in some way. Like, I guess I was dreading that he was going to say something like, "Oh, fan ownership is the way to go," and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my God, here we go now. But like, he kind of made a great point, and we put up a teaser of that clip as well today on social media. That his ideal owner is like a benevolent dictator type that has the club at heart and is a long-term supporter of the club, and the supporters will buy into that and give that particular type of owner more time. And he, made some examples around, like Chelsea, Manchester United, that kind of thing. It's super interesting. It's around 50 minutes long, and as Decky said, it's available on our Patreon. And we're hoping to do a few more bits and pieces for our Patreon members going forward. And we have Santa's 2005 Reeling in the Years as well, part 1. So there's plenty of content up there now for Patreon members, and we're hoping to keep the momentum going. And yeah, so it was fantastic to talk to Kieran. Like, I think we joked on the chat with him. He had a massive upgrade now from his appearances on BBC and Sky Sports, and he was on TalkSport just before he joined us as well. So like, the only way is up now for Kieran from here. Like, so yeah, happy days.
All right, we'll drive things on. Academy watch wise, look, there was no games, but best of luck to all our academy players, and in fact all the toe tappers out there doing their junior leaving certs. Be absolutely no bother to you. Decky, how did you find your leaving cert?
Difficult. I had preconceived notions back then about what I was going to do, and the leaving cert didn't play a massive part in it. But look, such is life. Like, you can do a bad leaving cert or screw up your leaving cert and be on a popular podcast 30 years later, guys. It's just the way life goes, So
That's
look, there's so
semi-popular.
many back doors now. It's not just the GA that have them these days. Like, where you want to get to a certain course in college, you can backdoor it through PLCs for a year. There's numerous different ways. It's not as, look, it's important, and I'm not telling people that leaving cert isn't important. It is, of course, but there's more than one way to skin a cat these days, whereas 35 years ago there wasn't. You either got the college points or you didn't, So, as you said, best of luck to everybody sitting it. There shouldn't really be anybody listening to this who's only sitting there leaving cert, because obviously this is an adult kind of targeted podcast. So But look, we'll say nothing, and everybody's welcome to listen.
I always joke that I found my way becoming chairman of Cork City and with a job in Amazon by dropping out of computer science after the first year, which is what I thought I would do, and becoming an electrician. So you know what?
Yeah,
there's a path there for everyone.
Exactly,
as I said,
exactly.
Yeah. And of course, joining TOTAP was the pinnacle of my lifetime achievements.
Well, lads, we'll drive it on to the pinnacle of the pod. It is time for Commie Watch.
Commie Watch with Ivan Draco on the Other Three Amigos podcast.
Nothing major in terms of communism with the club lately, but I suppose one big one really is the appointment of David Meyler as the men's team assistant coach. Kerry, what were your first thoughts on this one?
Yeah, my first thoughts on it was, the club are trying to do their best Damien Duff style appointment, someone who has, a name across the water and, has a name within the FAI and that kind of thing. Look, remains to be seen. I once again, I'm not sure if I know if this is Jornash's number one choice for assistant. I heard Dan McDonald today in their podcast mentioned that Meyler had potentially applied for our senior manager position, which I hadn't heard, surprisingly. And it was interesting enough to hear that. So maybe he was on the club's radar, and maybe the transfer committee made a recommendation for Dave Meyler to come in as assistant to Jornash to, I guess, fill that gap. But again, look, we can just say, look, the positives are that the appointment was made very quickly after Jor came in. I was dreading that this would drag on and on and on, and it would be Greg Bolger or Liam Kearney double jobbing and that kind of thing. So at least now I hope Greg Bolger can get back into, getting fit and trying to get onto the pitch as much as he can, and Liam Kearney can go back to his role as head of academy, and the club can push on from here. And look, I hope it's a great double act, and we're all wishing them all the best. But of course, with everything on this podcast, we have to delve into the intricacies and the boring aspects of these appointments, I suppose, quote unquote, to try and get to the root of them and give fans as much insight as we possibly can.
Dickie, over to you on this one. What do you make of it?
I'll be honest with you, when it was first announced, I was kind of like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? The more I think about it, the more I'm kind of going, okay, this is interesting, and it's something that has the potential to work. Look, everyone in Cork knows, and there's no point in us hiding from it, like that. Dave will know himself. He has a certain reputation around the city that he would have garnered from nights out in the city when he was back on breaks from playing Premier League football and that. But he was young, we've all matured in our lives, and I've been lucky enough to be in David Meyler's company on a couple of occasions. He won't know me, he won't remember me from Adam, but he always struck me as actually quite a nice fella. When you were in his company and you were chatting to him and whatnot, he was very personable, very, as I said, entertaining, and a genuinely nice fella. You could see then when people would come and bother him and annoy him and whatnot, that he wouldn't be having much of that, to be fair to him. Like, he'd always say, I'll give you a photograph or whatnot. But like, he has this reputation around the place as being probably difficult to deal with and that. But look, as I said, we all mature as we grow older, and I'm sure David's matured. And like Dan McDonald made the point, as Declan's already referenced their podcast, like that he's basically disappeared for the last 2 years, taking himself off all media, off all social media. There's none of the gaming stuff out in the open anymore, which was something he was doing for 3 or 4 years. And he's completely immersed himself in coaching at Hull City. And you can see the comments left by Hull City fans and that around the place on social media when announcements were made and that people at Hull City seem to rate him, and fans at the Hull City seem to rate him as a coach. So that's brilliant for Cork City. I'm going to stay very positive on it. I think I was open to giving Kieran Kilduff the job, so I'm not that bothered by plucking people who maybe don't have experience in that. Like if somebody's good enough and they're old enough and mature enough, then it doesn't, like, the experience thing sometimes can get overplayed. I know I said it wasn't a job for a rookie, the manager's job, and I kind of stand by that a little bit as well, but we'll get to Ger Nash later on. But Ger certainly made an impression on the fan base since he came in. You know, David Meyler loves Cork City. You know, he's immersed in Cork. His family are immersed in Cork. So, look, I think it has the potential to be a very good appointment. It's like everything else. It's now in David's hands to do whatever it is he wants to do with it. And I'd be quite confident that, you know, this might be the first step on maybe a long career in coaching and management for David Meyler. And maybe we look back in 10 years and David's doing great things in the game and we say, yeah, there's another fella like Jake O'Brien, like the Uma brothers, like Cathal O'Sullivan, players who have gone on and done better things in the game than just Cork City in the League of Ireland. And hopefully David Meyler would fall into that category in the next 5 to 10 years as well.
Is there a worry, assuming he's not Ger Nash's first choice as assistant, that there could be friction there?
I just want to say clearly here now, there's nobody on this podcast saying that David Meyler is not Ger Nash's choice, right?
Yes, agreed.
We don't know, right? We don't know. No, because I don't think Ger Nash is going to have anybody forced on him that he doesn't, you know. So I think Ger would have an input if it's not his decision. I think he's definitely had an input. I'll just go with the fact that he's been announced as as the assistant manager, whatever, a week and a half, 2 weeks after Ger Nash has been announced as manager. And maybe I'm a fool. I'll just go with, yeah, he is Ger Nash's choice. And therefore there shouldn't be issues or there shouldn't be any thing like that. I think, listen, you've two young men, both. The problem is they're both, you know, I said you don't have to worry about, and maybe experience is overplayed. But when you have two inexperienced individuals, both starting their first roles, Ger is manager and David is assistant manager, and none of them have worked in those roles before. I think that has to be a little bit of a concern. I think it has to be. Then you throw in a relegation battle into that, and you're kind of going, okay, but here's the thing. If they can get over that and get over that hump and do great work this year and keep us in the division, then next year you'd be looking at going, all right, lads, now let's see how far you can take us, you know. So I'm going to stay positive. I think we have to be positive on it. I think it's the only way forward on it, really, you know.
They have the potential to do great things. Well, speaking of Ger, we may as well just move on to it now. Declan Carey, what have you made about the recent sound bites, I guess people are calling him talking about the double trainings, and he seems to have really got the fan base now behind him all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, and I was at the match last Friday, which we'll get to. I think the sound bites are one thing, but I think he actually backed it up with, you know, what was a solid performance on Friday, and I think the fans could see, especially in the first half, that, you know, we put it right up to Shelbourne and we were by far the better team. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but like, I think that's what's more important for me. I think the sound bites are, you know, what we joke. Wayne is going to laugh at this one now, and this is a tribute to him. He's on holidays, but the low hanging fruit for Ger was to come out and, you know, talk about revamping training and, you know, maybe create this perception that things weren't great and he's come in now to save the day, so to speak. And I'm sure he is. And football management is all about doing your work behind the scenes, delivering on the pitch in terms of the games themselves, but also there is the PR and media aspect. And he looks to be doing quite well in that front so far. And you know, he's saying all the right things, and all we can do is back him. And as long as the players are delivering and it looks like he's making positive changes that we can see on a Friday night, then I think the fans will continue to back him. And I think that showed on Friday as well, with the reception that the team got at the end of the game and halftime and things like that. So, you know, yeah, great, fair play to him. And, you know, I wouldn't read too much into the things like the double sessions too. Like, I don't think he's, you know, running the bollocks off the players for 6 hours a day. Like, I think it's probably a case of, you know, instead of dedicating training time on a Thursday to just analysis, maybe he's doing a bit of training in the morning on the pitch and actual work, and then they're doing the analysis in the afternoons maybe, or a bit of strength and conditioning or something. Who knows? But like, I wouldn't read too much into that. I think and it's a good mental shift as well, I think, for the players, and a good maybe coaching technique from Jur as well to shock the systems of the players as well and show that he's introducing new ideas. And yeah, so far so good. Geez, that was unbelievably positive, wasn't it?
Dickie, I don't know what you thought originally, but I guess from that interview with Red FM a few weeks back, I was fairly uninspired. But since then, he's changed my opinion around and surprised me. What have you made about his recent comments?
Yeah, it's been very positive. Absolutely fantastic. Very, very positive. Like Dex laid it out pretty well there. Like, I mean, either Jur himself has a brilliant eye and a brilliant ear for PR, or the club's PR people have got a hold of him and said, listen, there's a couple of easy wins here. Just say X, Y, and Z. And listen, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's not me criticizing. That's exactly what you should do. You should say the correct things to get the fan base on side. For me, it will always come down to what happens on the pitch. Friday night was a good start. I think it's unfortunate that we had the break now because the bit of momentum that was built from that game is lost. So there's going to be, lads are going away on holidays and there's bits and pieces that way. Like, so that's going to be an issue to pick it up and go again next week for training and that. But look, it's been very, very positive. It's what do you know what? The fan base needed that. They needed to hear that, okay, there's going to be double sessions. And as Deck says, double sessions doesn't mean they're running the bollocks out of their players, because they know they need to be able to do 90 minutes on a pitch or maybe 100 minutes on a pitch on a Friday night. So I think people hear double sessions and think, oh God, they're twice as much sprinting, twice as much heading, twice as much. No, it's not. Like, a lot of it will be strength and conditioning, as the Deck said, video analysis, tactical, but there will be more time on the pitch, more time on the training pitch. Just as well to point out, we're still down a coach. You know, everybody goes, oh, David Meyler's in. David Meyler's assistant manager, Ger Nash's manager. We're still down a coach. You know, Greg Balger is double jobbing. So please don't ever forget we're still down a coach. Ger Nash has made a good start, but it will always come down to results on the pitch, Dan. Friday night was good. There's a huge way to go. We're 10 points from safety, and I can see people are really after getting built up by Ger Nash's sound bites, and that's fantastic. But I said this at the start of the season. If you make a good start, it allows you to have a poor or a relatively poor second half of the season. We had a horrendous start. We've had a horrendous start. We're now 10 points off. Every game that you don't win is a little slice. It's a little cut. And we won't die in one big shot to the head. We'll die by the 1,000 cuts of games that we fail to win. And we went ahead against Shelburne on Friday night, and again we failed to win. And it's a huge thing, and there's no room for error. And that's the biggest issue that Ger has, is that there's no room for error. No, we just have to win games. And you look and you think, can we win enough games? Probably not. Then it becomes a one-game shootout. But look, I'd be supremely confident at the moment that we would beat anybody from the first division quite comfortably in a playoff. And I know what happened against Waterford, and I said the same thing that time, but I would be very confident at the moment of that. And there's a 3-game run coming up where we play Waterford, Sligo, and Galway in 3 games running. I think it's around the 1st of July start. If you can run off those 3 games back to back and take 9 points from 9 points, you pull Waterford back in towards you, and you pull Galway back in towards you, you know. And obviously you put a small bit of daylight between yourself and Sligo. So if you can hit the ground and you can win those 3 games on the trot, obviously you Bohs is the next game, another game that you probably have to win. If you can rack up a couple of games back to back, let's see where it takes us then, you know.
Well, City won, Shels won. Declan Carey, as you've already mentioned, very decent first half from City. What was your thoughts on the game as a whole?
Yeah, I overall I enjoyed it. Then look, I was at the game. Surprise! I had a fantastic view from where I was sitting. And were
you in the VIP section?
Allegedly, no, I did have my baseball cap on and sunglasses, and I was absolutely surrounded as well with the goalkeepers union and absolute greatness. I had Eric Grimes, Phil Harrington, David Harrington. I mean, like, Jesus. And all they did for the whole game was comment on both goalkeepers from either end. Like, it was a great experience, though, to be honest. And I was near as well the great Mickey Harris. So, I was surrounded with football greatness from all corners. But yeah, it was and I did get the Clonakilty burger as well. I did pay the €10.
Well.
Look, I thought it was a bit dry. But anyway, I don't think it was worth 10 quid. It was a bit of a monster, as Wayne described it, as a hefty burger. But geez, I've had much nicer burgers for less money. But look, it was fine. Moving on to the game, like, it was great performance. I thought we had chances, and I worried at half time as well that, the good opportunities and the good balls that we put into the box, we weren't taking advantage of them, and I thought it would come back to bite us, and lo and behold, I felt it did. Shelburne at halftime then made a triple substitution. There was the Damien Duff video that was going around. He tore shreds into them. I think everyone was expecting that because they were so unbelievably flat in the first half. It was unbelievable. I was thinking to myself, these have to be officially the worst defending champions I've seen in a long, long time in the League of Ireland. And, look, a lot of that was as well that we made them look poor, and we were up for it and had great energy. But at halftime, they made substitutions. Now, our goal then, Shawnee's header, kind of came against the run of play, even though we had dominated the first half. But I thought for the first couple of phases of play in the second half, we were, chasing Shelburne a little bit. So it was a great goal and great cross from Mbengs, I think it was, and great header. But as Decky said, we just couldn't hold on to the lead, and there was that air of inevitability. And this is the thing as well, and what I don't want, and I heard a little bit of this in the section that I was sitting in on Friday night, is like that. And this is kind of subjective in some sense, and at least my loose understanding is, I just worry that there might be this feeling that it's like a fresh start to the season, but it's been 3 games now since Clancy has left, and we've drawn 1 at home. That's the way we have to look at it. And as Deck said, there's no room for error here. Like, we lost against Pats, we lost the game after that. We drew against Shels. We just aren't picking up the points like that we need. And there's 18 games gone now. It's halfway through the season, and like, there is massive pressure on Jornash to pick up victories. And maybe even I was almost saying at the game on Friday night, one of Wayne's famous 0-0 victories might have been a more positive result, because it would have given us the clean sheet and that monkey off our back. Like, 18 games and no clean sheet is just like, that's unbelievably worrying, and we can't seem to hold on to any lead. And I know, we won 2 games, but like, it's just it's a bit worrying. So look, I think the break now will do us the world of good. Shawnee will be back flying fit. And he started, I predicted when he started he'd be gone off after an hour, and that's what happened. And hopefully we'll get the full or close to 90 minutes out of him now going forward. And I thought he did well with Daniels up top. Daniels was very good, I thought, as well. He just never stops, like, does he? He's like, for a guy that came in late with no pre-season, like, what an engine he has on him, and he just never stops. Gives away a lot of fouls now, but he never stops. I think he was lucky to avoid a booking.
He's been an incredible signing. Decky, when we got the goal this time around, I don't know, from my own personal point of view, I felt like this was finally going to be the one. We actually held on to it. I thought we were a much improved team as compared to how we looked before, and it was just poor defending. I suppose that's the story of our season anyway, but a bit of brilliance from Ali Coote that got them over the line.
It is a bit of brilliance from Ali Coote, but I'm just not having that defending. I'm sorry. And like I said this in the forum, and it was kind of lots of people disagreeing with me, so I'm on my own. That's fair enough. It's just my opinion. Like, obviously Evan McLaughlin is very, very poor. I thought Derek Crowley was as poor as McLaughlin. Genuinely, like, for me, you can't turn your back on the ball and, just fucking go in there, make yourself as big as possible, try and get the block in. but I'm sure Jernash will look at that and he'll see the issues that were there. And to be fair to Dara, I was like saying we need a right back before the season started. Like Dara's been very, very good. Like, he's played 90% of the minutes. Like, only Team Truce who's played every minute, and Charlie Lyons who's played every minute bar the game he missed for his 5 yellow cards have seen more minutes than Dara. Like, so he's now playing left back, having started at right back, played a couple of games as centre back. Jara's moved him to left back. So look, yeah, it's hard to be harsh on Dara, but I just thought in that moment he could have done more to make himself bigger to try and block the shot. Yes, it's a great piece from Ali Cook. That's their only shot on target in the game. It's their only shot on target in the game, like, and kind of going, like, if we've any bit of luck, the ball is 3-4 inches further to the left as we look. It's off the post and comes back out or goes out for a goal kick, But no, it's just the way things go for us. It settles inside of the post and into the back of the net, Like, Shels were always going to come out second half, and I thought second half, like first half, we were very good. Second half, I thought we were prepared for the Shels onslaught. I thought we saw out the early onslaught very, very well. Like, I mean, first half, I think we had 55-45 possession in our favour. Second half, it went something like 65-35 in Shels' favour. Shels had one attempt on goal in the whole of the first half. They had 9 in the second half, but they'd only one on target, which was the goal. I thought we kind of saw out because, like, obviously we were sent the Duff video and we tweeted it, and he's going apeshit in the dressing room. I saw people criticising him and quote tweeting that video and saying, like, look at your man, listen to him. Like, what do people expect? To me, that's exactly what I would expect my manager to be doing after. It's what I'd want them to do. Like, Shelbourne were in absolute shambles first half. Like, and in fairness to Duff, he said it before the game in the preview on the Shelbourne site. He spoke about going to Turner's Cross under a new manager with fans and twos, Dublin against Cork. He told them they're going to come for us. Like, they're going, and it's like Shelbourne weren't ready for it. The players weren't ready for it. Maybe they were in Dublin airport on Saturday morning, as he said afterwards, whatever it was. So he had to get into them at half time. And they were much, much better second half. I think one of the things that happened second half highlighted one of our big issues. We had to take Shawnee off after an hour. You'd imagine the call was either start him and play him for an hour, don't start him and bring him on for half an hour. They went with the start him. When you take him off, there's nothing there. Like, De Janeiro is brilliant, holding the ball up, bringing others into play. But you lose so much when Shawnee went off, and there isn't a striker on the bench to come on and replace him. So we need to sign another striker in the summer, at least one. If we allow De Janeiro to walk, which seemingly he has a clause, and I hate quoting Dan MacDonald, but like, obviously I listened to LOI Central today, as I do every week, and again Dan made the point that De Janeiro Daniel's contract is with us until November. There's no getting away from that. Dan says that we have a gentleman's agreement with him, or we've given him a clause that says he can walk away in July. And I just kind of put my head in my hands again and go, who is doing this? Like, why? A lad who hasn't played in 6 months, maybe it's the only way he'd sign. Maybe we wanted to cover ourselves in case he was crap. But look, I don't know. But seemingly he has this out in July. If he exercises that, Lord, we need 2 strikers, minimum. I would argue if De Janeiro stays and Shawnee, obviously, is here, he's 2. I would argue we need 2 more, because Ger clearly wants to play with 2 up top. So you need 2 spare strikers. You need 2 backup strikers. It's time to send Harvey out on loan and allow him to develop. I think it is anyway, because it doesn't look like he's going to get minutes. So let's be fair to the lad. Let's even go down to Colin in Kerry or Cove or Treaty or somewhere where he'd get minutes and he'd play games and he'll learn his trade in men's football. That's the best thing for him, best thing for the club. But when you took Shawnee off on Friday night, it went back to a very pre-Jernash-like scenario. Shels scored, and then the big fear is they're going to get a second. I have to admit, Friday night was the first time, and I wasn't at the game, I had a root canal at 3:30 on Friday. I wasn't going to Turner's Cross after that.
You
Friday
chose
night
the root
watching
canal over the game, did you?
Yeah. I had no choice. It was an emergency dental treatment. And that's only part one. I have to go back for 2 hours the next time. But anyway, which just happens to be the day of the Bohs game. But anyway,
You might go to the city first, the first half of the city game, and then at half time head off and get the root canal.
But of course, the whole joke on Friday evening when my whole face was sagging because it was completely numb, and the rest of it was like, this could just be the second worst experience of my Friday, depending on what happens in Turner's Cross. But the point I was going to make was, when Shelbourne scored, it was kind of the first game in a long time where I didn't feel they were going to get the second. Do you know what I mean? It just, whatever it was, I just felt like, okay, no, they're not getting the second here. This game is finishing 1-1. Maybe we might nick one. It didn't look like it. Shawnee's goal was an immense footballing goal. Milan down the right, great cross in. And Shawnee, he has no right to win that header. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not supposed to win that header, but up he gets, bang, back of the net. I thought he was quite enough overall, but obviously he's coming back from injury, you know. This week, no, we're off. Hopefully, Shawnee stayed around. I don't know whether he went away. Oh, no, I think I read somewhere he was going away for a week or something, yeah. But look, it's another week in the legs of training this week, and then hopefully he goes into the Bohs game more match sharp again, and we start to see the best of Shawnee, because we know what he can do. Like, that goal is a striker's goal, but there isn't many strikers in this country scored a goal that Shawnee scored the other night. Like, so, like, you have to take the positives. There was a lot more positives in that Shelbourne game than there had been in previous games. But as Deck said, we didn't win. We haven't won in any of the 3 games since Tim Clancy left. You know, we conceded late in Galway. We lost that game. We conceded late against Pats. We lost that game. You can spin it as a positive and say we didn't concede late against Shelbourne and we didn't lose the game. So let's take that as the positive, the first step on the springboard. But no, we have to win games. We have to start winning games. We have to start keeping clean sheets. And you know what? We have to start scoring more goals. It's like, we've just accepted that because Keats and Shawnee were injured, that we're not going to score as many goals as we could or we should. We've scored 21 in 17 games. Waterford have the worst record in the league at 20. There's lots of teams sitting around 20, so there isn't a massive amount of goals being scored this year, I don't think. So if you can get yourself into a room where you score 2 again, but I mean, we've played 18 games. We only scored twice in 5 of those 18, and 2 of them were the first 2 games of the season. So in the next 16 games, we've only scored 2 goals in 3 of those 16 games. We haven't scored 3 all season. I understand the 2 main guys were out. Shawnee's back now. We have to find a way now of starting to score goals and get ourselves more goals. It doesn't then become as imperative to keep a clean sheet. If we leave in 1 and Shawnee gets us 2, or we get 3 as a team, that's okay. That's fine. But yes, we need to keep clean sheets. Yes, we want to keep clean sheets. I think just as important is we have to start scoring more goals more regularly, because to only score 2 in 5 of 18 games is not good. And when they said you reduce that, take out the first 2 games, we've only scored 2 in 16 games since, or 15 games since. That's just not good enough, like, you know. And I think people haven't focused on that because of the issues defensively. But that now has to be something that gets addressed as well, I think.
Declan Carey, what's your outlook on the squad at the minute? No Nelson once again. I mean, he's off now really at this stage, isn't he? Cahill's gone. Whoa.
Yeah, I think there's a Preston North End fan. He seems pretty genuine, Dan, to be honest. I can't remember his name now, Bob something. Shout out to Bob if he's listening. But he mentioned that Nelson has been recalled by Preston now in the summer. Well, not recalled. I think his loan is up and he's been brought back and he's been loaned out to someone else. So
Bradford City.
Yeah, Bradford. So look, that's kind of what I predicted a couple of weeks ago. That like these players will always fancy their chances to still stay in England, because the money is far superior, and they'll always try and back themselves and think that they'll have a chance of making the big time. And their agents will try and reaffirm that. And there's more money in it for the agents as well if they go back to the UK. But like as Deck said there, my worry is Daniels as well. Now, to be honest, I think Dan McDonald alluded to it in his own podcast, and it's obvious that he's been doing a bit of digging himself, and like Daniels has scored goals and he's gotten his fitness up, and I'm sure his agency now as well have some decent clips of him performing in the League of Ireland, and some good highlight reels. And would he take the chance going to a continental club in the summer, like if one comes knocking? Like, that's why he has this agreement in place, like, because he has 1 foot, half a foot out the door, I would say, like, just in case something comes up. And I hadn't even, like, I put together that report there, was it last week, and mentioned that, like, look, if we exclude the younger players on the team, your likes of, AJ Nash and David Dunn and those guys, like, we only have like 14 senior players potentially, and that was with Daniels staying. So, like, I'm imagining, Shipston leaves, Kit Nelson leaves, Freddie Anderson is here till the end of the year, thankfully. Troost as well, potentially. I've heard that he's not going to be here once the window opens in July. So, like, look,
Jesus,
it's always the risk with these guys. Look, I think we've heard as well there's a potential chance of Fiacre Kelleher. I know his brother made a monumental move, and Ring Mahon are on track to make millions off it. But look, if we can get his brother Fiacre home and bring him in defence, that'll be a positive. But that's the only one we're hearing so far. So I hope that Nash and the transfer committee are hard at work and trying to unearth a few more gems, because it's looking like some of the guys that we've taken a fondness to, Kit Nelson, look, Daniels, I hope he stays. I'd be probably maybe 75% sure he'll stick around. Like, it's looking pretty grim, like, isn't it? We have to bring in probably 5 players now minimum. That's bare minimum.
Decky, what do you think? Is realistically we'd want 7 players?
Look, what we'll want and what we get are very different things. But yeah, as I said, 2 strikers if you're playing 2 up top. You need to replace Kit Nelson. Like, Kit's the top goal scorer with 4 goals. Well, sorry, he's actually, himself and Jack both have 4 goals. The amazing thing about Jack is he only has 4 shots on target for us, and all 4 have ended up in the back of the net,
He's accurate.
Yeah, he's not very frequent. So, like, 2 of them are your top goal scorers, but 4 isn't much of a tally, Am I worried? Look, I mean, I'm not worried as such, because it is what it is. Like, at this stage, it's just, there's no point in worrying about stuff that we just can't control in any way, shape, or form. It's up to Jornash to sort it. It's up to the transfer committee, whoever's on it, Dermot, Aina, Damien, Jar, whoever else is involved in that scenario. It's up to those lads now to sort it out. And as has been said all along, they've had enough notice. They've known this scenario was coming up since the start of the year. They also have the experience of what happened in 2023, and you just presume that that's not going to allow to be happening again in 2025. History might tell us differently, but look, Deck mentions Fiacre there. Like, rumour says there's one deal close to being done. Fiacre Kelleher seems like a logical name. 29, centre back, which is a position in need. League 1, League 2, all his time in Dublin. Jesus, all the time in England. There's a Freudian slip for you, lads. All the time in England. Seemingly, his friends have been saying he's coming home. To us, home is Cork. Maybe to Fiacre or them, home is Ireland. And like, but you can't have a scenario where Cork City desperately need a centre back. There's a Cork lad who's played all his time in League 1 and League 2 in England. He's 29, which is the perfect age for a centre back, and he's allegedly coming home. If he ends up anywhere else other than Cork City, questions would massively be asked then. Like,
especially because he's a desperate position that we need to fill. That guy, 100% agree with you. Like, this is, if he comes home and home as in back to the League of Ireland, I suppose. I don't think he ever played League of Ireland anyway, but anyway, look, never mind. Back to Ireland, and doesn't sign for Cork City. There's something seriously wrong. Like, that would set alarm bells off to no end. Like, no, there is I'll give some benefit of the doubt. I'll always try to do this, that, like, look, is it an attractive move for him to come back to a side that's second bottom, and there's such a gap as well between us and the team ahead of us in the table, and his agent might be saying, look, come back, sign for Pats there or Rovers and stick it out for a year, and if Cork City stay up, you can sign for Cork City. Then you'll only have to do a couple of months in Dublin. He lives away anyway, so if he comes back, he'll have no problem living in Dublin for a couple of months. Maybe that could be the play he makes, but yeah, he wouldn't be the first Cork fella to do it, like, and a trend would certainly be starting to emerge now with the whole Matt Healy, Josh, Adam O'Reilly. If this was another guy that was from Cork not playing for Cork City in the League of Ireland, it's like we wouldn't have seen something like that in ever, I would say, have we? Like, I know there was Ollie Cahill wasn't from Cork and stuff, and I know Pat Morley and things like that, but like there hasn't been that many.
But here's where David Meyler comes into play, I think, because like you send Meyler to meet a guy by Fiach Kelleher, and basically Dave just pins him to the wall until such time as he signs the contract, and just like, you're signing for Cork City, you're going nowhere else, like,
He might talk about pinning him to the wall, but I don't think.
I know, but you know what I mean. It's a phrase. It's a euphemism. I don't mean he literally pins him to the wall, like, but
he definitely wouldn't.
Like,
anyway.
Dave Meyler gives him the Cork City story, gives him the, this is me. I played for Cork City. This is what it means. Blah 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 blah. And I'm sure that'll happen 3 or 4 times. Another name that was floating around was Anthony O'Connor, another centre back, but I see he signed for Harrogate this week again, or re-signed by Harrogate. So that's one people can take off their list anyway. But it's quiet. It's quiet. There isn't much leaking out of Bishopstown, which is good. I always like that. I always like when it's not being leaked, because the club is doing its business on the QT.
I'm just being extra cagey, Deck, with the bloodline, to be honest. Like, I just don't know who could turn on me and turn heel at any given moment. Like, they could try and set me up with a fake rumour or something like that, and then, all of a sudden the egg on her face is
Lads,
like, so.
we're worried about the fake rumour now for the last 3 years, and every time we get something, we just ping it out there anyway. It's just like, fuck it.
After Paul Heyman turned on Roman Reigns, Deck, I don't really trust anyone after that. I was heartbroken, and I worry the same might happen to me with the bloodline at some stage. But look, we'll see.
Declan Kerry, attendance-wise in the cross was, I think, 2-8-2-1 was the official attendance given out. Was it fairly empty?
Well, all I'd say is thank God for the coffers that Shelburne brought down almost a full section to fill one entire area of the St. Anne's End. If they hadn't, like, and it was I don't know, trying to think of someone here like Sligo or someone like that, and they only brought maybe 50, 75 people, like, the crowd would have been called out at around 2,100, 2,200. I think we're just being blessed here with, as I said, the novelty for these Dublin teams to come down to Cork. Shels' first visit this season, like, but will they come now the next time? Probably not. I'd say we'll get half that crowd maybe, because they won't be going for the league, and I'm sure the wheels will fall off the bandwagon and the Duff train at some stage this year when they realise that they're well out of the title race. But yeah, I think the crowd was pretty grim, Dan, to be honest. And I was actually hoping at one stage, like, we were 1-0 up. Charlie Lyons hadn't been booked. We were keeping a clean sheet. I was thinking all the stars are aligning here. Like, we're going to impress this small crowd, and we're going to start building again and piling the numbers back into the stadium, and try and take a bit of pride in it, and as George said, instill a bit of Cork pride into the team. And I think the fan base would buy into that, and the bandwagoners will come back. That's what they are ultimately. Like, look, I suppose what was at the game last Friday night is probably our core support, and if we're doing well, or there's a buzz and it's the start of a season or whatever, we might push that 4,000 mark. But if the results drop off, we'll always drop down to the close to 2,000 mark, and it would have been that. Like, I still think there was less than 2,000 Cork City fans in the crowd. Like, it was called out at 2,800. I think Shelburne probably bought about maybe 600, and then you shave off the season ticket holders that didn't go. Like, Deck, I don't know if you're a season ticket holder, for example. Like, there's always a chunk that don't turn up, but we still count them in the attendance numbers. So, like, look, I think there was less than 2,000 Cork City fans, and it was unfortunate we just didn't get the win in front of them, and like, it was essential for the coffers. But yeah, it is what it is. It's pretty disappointing then, and it won't be the €10 burgers that drag them back either. Like, it'll just be results on the pitch, unfortunately.
I think hopefully over the next few weeks anyway, with George at the helm, that'll go up. The dippers will start dipping a bit more.
Yeah, our hope really is that we do add to the squad significantly, so that, you know, when the break is finished and there's a bit of energy, and maybe we put out a few invigorating videos on social media, the players in the gym or the players, you know, frolicking around Bishopstown with the sprinklers. It entices fans back in, because our team will look so different. Maybe, you know, or I don't know. It's a tough one to call.
All right, well, we asked for the toe tappers' thoughts on the game. Billy Dorney says huge improvement. Daniels, Crowley, muscle emoji, and Evan, fantastic. First half performance was magical. Brian says superb first half, left 2 points after us. Milan and Daniels were brilliant. IFHS. Yeah, I can't believe nobody shouted Mbengs for the MVP. But anyway, Joe Langford, every time we score first, it's like we tell the other team, come on, see if you can score now, lads. I heard him take a breath from Decky there anyway. Philly Crowley.
It was supposed to be Mbengs and not Murray that went out, but it was put out as Murray, so I don't know.
Oh, right. Someone Murray. Philly Crowley booked the European trip, something to build on after the run of late game losses. Bad timing for the mid-season break though. Ian Crowley, do these lads know what it feels like to win? I presume anytime they go in front, they shit the bed. Very promising first half, but not clinical enough. 8 long, it was pretty even, but we probably shaded it after they started both halves well. I didn't think we did enough with the possession we had. I thought Mbengs was the best player on the pitch, especially going forward. Yeah, again, goes on and on and on. One of the most liked ones here, Connor K says Daniels needs a contract extension. Again, first half was brilliant. If we get tighter to men outside the box, we'd stop half the goals we concede. Nash needs a better seat. The poor guy. Last one here I'll go to. The Donny Ford Ultra Mega Sergeant Platoon. For most of the match, we made Shels look bang average, but we still couldn't hold a lead against bang average. Ref was, as always, fucking shocking. Mbengs and Daniels were outstanding. Decky, you were looking to come in.
Yeah, just it was going to be one thing, those two things. Mbengs, the fact that Damien Duff name-checked Mbengs last Wednesday on some interview somewhere scared the shit out of me. Because it means the Dubs are aware of Mbengs. It means Shelburne are aware of Mbengs. If Shelburne are aware, Pats are aware. Rovers are aware. Shams are aware. You know, everybody's aware of Milan Mbengs. We have him here. Just look, go offer him another 18 months on a decent contract. Do something, because if we wait till November, we'll all be here next January or February going, I can't believe Milan Mbengs was playing for Shelburne this season or whatever it is.
All be heartbroken.
Yeah, so nail down your good players and let's do it now. Second thing, just on Daniels, I meant to say it earlier on, it just popped into my head there. It was when that chap said his contract needs to be extended. Like, if the club come out during the window and say, oh, delighted to announce Jack has, or Double D or whatever they call him, has extended his contract and is here now till the end of the season, and try and put it out as this big PR win, they should just be run out of town. We know he has a contract until November. We also know that this is the most likely outcome of how it's going to work. They've announced him till July, and now they'll go, oh, look at this, amazing, we've done a deal with Jack to keep him here till November. No, he had a contract till November anyway. All that's happened is he hasn't exercised his right to walk away, and now he's here until he's staying until November. That's not a PR win.
There absolutely will be that announcement deck. Yeah. They might throw it in with another. I wouldn't mind if they just threw it in with another player signing and just said, here comes this guy, Faker Kelleher, for example, whatever. Oh, and by the way, like, DD is sticking around till the end of the year. No worries. A one-liner. No need for the fancy quotes. Oh, I'm so happy to stay in Cork and re-sign, and I love it here, and I love the city, and all these, stuff that's just made up that he never actually said. Like, there's no need. Just
if he's signing for an extra 2.5 years, by all means do it. Then by all means do it. Then
just a minimal put us at ease and slip it in if the bloodline are listening. For God's sake, lads, pretend like it's 2021, 2022, and you're asking me for advice on the PR statements again, and I won't stare you wrong. I never did.
Well, Santa was busy up in the workshop in the North Pole, so didn't get a chance to get to the player ratings. So we did our old school MVP. The winner was, of course, Daniels on 41%. In second was McLaughlin, 31. Maguire in third on 24. And Murray takes Mbengs 4%. I'm sure Mbeng would have been second. I'm going to have to
hold my hands up here.
First.
Look, it's been a pretty hectic couple of days in Toe Tap Towers on the social media channels, and it was me who put Murray in accidentally instead of Mbeng. When we were doing the survey around the WhatsApp group of who we should nominate as the 4 players, I just glanced at it and saw the names and just stuck it in and realised then that you can only put in a max of 4, and forgot to swap out Murray from Mbeng anyway. So, Milan, I apologise. What do I say? I apologise en français. They were back to leaving sort of French. No, that's excuse me.
It's close enough.
Je m'excuse, Milan. He was the real MVP, really, wasn't he? So, apologies, Milan.
All right, that concludes the end of the first half. So, Tapper, come back to us in the second half. We're going to have Mbengs Bag as well as the Bohs Preview.
Do you sometimes walk into a room and forget why you came in?
Yes.
Forget people's names or birthdays?
Yes.
Have you ever done something then immediately had no recollection of it?
Yes.
Then you need Amnesia Magazine. If you only remember one thing this week, make it Amnesia Magazine. Do you sometimes walk into a room and forget why you came in?
Yes.
Forget people's names or birthdays?
Yes.
Have you ever done something then immediately had no recollection of it?
Yes.
Then you need Amnesia Magazine. If you only remember one thing this week, make it Amnesia Magazine.
Welcome back to part 2, So Tapper. It is now time for Mbengs Bag.
He has got the looks, he has got the style, he is a bowler at the back. He has got a big bag, and it is magnifique. It's the Mbengs Bag, baby.
Billy Darney asks, serious question. Will Dermot go M&S or the normal Aldi/Lidl route? Referring to summer signings. Will it be bloody loanies or 4 to 5 quality players on a contract? Kerry, over to you first.
Billy Darney, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Lidl or Aldi. Come on now. But that's for another day. I'll catch you at the next game and we'll have a good chat about this. The deluxe range in Lidl is, magnifique. But anyway, I think he has to go the Marks and Spencer's route, as Billy is saying. We have to bring in the Faker Kelleher's. We have to, look at all these guys that are potentially available. The standard in the National League is pretty decent as well at the top of the table, so we shouldn't lower ourselves much lower than that, I would say. If we can bring in League 2 quality players and National League, I think we'll be doing very well. And we just need to pull out all the stops and potentially a few gems from the continent, I suppose as Wayne will be hoping for, given Nash's connections recently, and let's hope for the best.
Dickie, are they going to be M&S? Maybe like a Super Value or a Centra or a Lidl or an Aldi?
I think more Super Value Centra, yeah. I was kind of amazed because I didn't realise it was the figure was so high, but I saw Kieran Maguire, our new best buddy, tweeting the other day about League One, and the average salary for a player in League One last year was 8,600 quid sterling.
It's mental.
A week, Do you know?
There's guys in the National League deck for probably the top half of the National League, which is probably more famous now for like Wrexham, who started off there before they went on their consecutive promotions. Like the top half of them are easily earning like the same or better than players at Shamrock Rovers and St. Pat's. Easily.
Yeah, so it proves, you know, I'm just trying to illustrate how difficult it is to get a League One player to come to Ireland. You're probably not, like, you know. So the market is relatively small, but it as Deck said, it has to be players of decent standard. And look, I know people are sick of me saying it, but we just did this in the off season. There wouldn't be a mad scramble now. And overall, over the course of the year, it probably would have worked out much cheaper for the club. But look, we are where we are now. So onwards. But yeah, it has to be a decent quality of player. Has to be.
The Rebels Academy asks, I think it's pretty clear we need a director of football because let's be honest, Usher doesn't know how to run the football side. If you could bring someone into the role, who would it be? And would hiring a DOF reduce the club's budget? Yeah, we'll answer that one first. He has a second parter to that one. Kerry.
I'd hate to say it, but I agree with Deck. Like Liam Carney probably is the best fit, I think, for a director of football, just because I think he's trying to drive and has been the most consistent employee of the club, who's been trying to drive a consistent style of play all the way up from the academy. And I think he's obviously synonymous with Cork City, and he's a club legend, and he's won trophies and all that. And I think he understands the standards that we should set ourselves. But look, I wouldn't like him to go into that role because, again, I just would worry that he wouldn't be with the club then within a couple of years, because ultimately that role is somewhat as well judged with like success on the pitch for the men's first team, and it'll be an area that's looked at if we're not performing well on the pitch. And look, I'd hate to see that happen for Liam. So continue doing the great work in the academy. Outside of that, I hear Liam Buckley might be available, but I don't know.
No, the second part of his question, if we do make signings, do you think they'll be free? So I'll go to the other deck here.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to pay a transfer fee for anybody. I'd be stunned if we did. Like, who are you paying transfer fees
minuscule
for?
Maybe 5-10k. I wouldn't shock me, but
Yeah.
like anything upwards of that, like you won't be hearing stories of 50 grand and stuff like that. Like the money we were paying for the likes of Kieran Sadler when we actually had no money a couple of years ago, but we thought we did. But anyway, moving on.
I'm glad Ian Crowley asked this one because I forgot to mention it earlier. Can City compete across the league and cup competitions, or must they focus on just the league? Of course, the FAI Cup draw is taking place tomorrow. Decky, is the cup a good chance for us to get a bit of
100%.
goodwill from the fans back on side?
I don't want to hear any of this, just concentrate on the league bullshit. Like, Drogheda won the cup last year. They're in Europe. Look, they are in Europe as we speak. We wouldn't have that issue. 100% we can have a go at the cup. 100%. I don't want to hear it. I never understand it when people say it. There's only 2 competitions you can win. We can't win the league. So now the cup's the only competition we can win. It can get you into Europe. You can get through 2 or 3 rounds with a nice draw. You can win the cup without playing anybody of significance if everything goes your way. Generally, you probably have to play 2 teams of significance. Just go and do it. Like, there's absolutely no reason why we can't beat anybody on our day in Turner's Cross. No reason. Absolutely none. And as I said, look at what it did for Drogheda. Drogheda had a very good transfer window last summer, performed much better in the league, won the cup, and now what are they? Halfway point this year? They're is a second or third. I haven't looked at the table very much, but like, they're transformed by a cup run last year, transformed by a transfer window, by a summer window. So it can be done. No reason why Cork City can't do it this year. And I don't want to hear of this nonsense of, just concentrate on the league. Fuck off, lads.
Yeah, and
football's about winning trophies, like. And let's
it's
go.
not like there's double.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dick, didn't mean to cross over you there.
No,
it's not like there's double weekends either, like where you're playing Friday, Monday. Like, it's not like you're in Europe traveling to some godforsaken country like miles and miles away. You know, it's just, you might, as you said, You could get a non-league team in the first round, a first division team in the next round. Then you might get, Waterford or Sligo in a quarter. Like you just never know. Like, and we'll see how it goes.
Who do you want?
Bluebell United.
Get one of the shit ones out the way.
Kerry. I'd love to play Kerry. I'd love to see Colin back in Turner's Cross.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one actually. Yeah. There's a guy now that deserves a reception from the home fans. I'd make an exception for him if he does come back to the Cross with Kerry. But anyway.
Connor,
as long as it's not in next year's first division.
No, in the cup, as you said, Dick. Like, let's manifest this now. Let's manifest this, and
Connor asks, how do you feel knowing that under Nash and Meyler, Europe is back on?
Not a hope in holy hell on this universe, any universe.
3 years' time, maybe.
Yeah, like, we can't even contemplate this year. As Dick said, we might pox a nice draw in the cup, and maybe then, as you said, you get 1 or 2 games of significance where you can scrape it. But that's like, check our odds in the bookies. Like, they're usually not wrong, but they stay up this year, and depends on how we do in the summer transfer window. As Deck said, what Drogheda did last year. If we have a strong window and then we strengthen again, and we stay up, and there's positivity around the place. Who knows? 2026. Sound like a Liverpool fan now. It'll be our year.
Jackie.
I know that tweet is probably in jest, but there's an element to it that's important, and it's important that fans have optimism, that there's something they can believe in, there's something to be optimistic about. And if it's Gerard Nash and David Meyler that give the fan base that optimism, that belief that something can be achieved over time, then that's good. It's absolutely something to hold on to and something to believe in. I think you probably need 4 transfer windows. Gerard probably needs 4 transfer windows to take a team from second bottom to challenging from Europe through the league. Cup's a different scenario, but through the league, I think you need 4 or 5 transfer windows, and it's a slow process.
And you need big crowds too, Dick.
Yeah, you need big crowd. I was just going to say you need somebody to pick up the tab for it, and
it's looking like it'll be the fans, like so.
Yeah, so we're a long way. I'm still thinking about 8th, and is there a pathway to us finishing 8th? It's very difficult. There might be one. It's probably not going to happen. So then, just all eyes on
the squad we have now, Dick.
Just staying in the division this year. Like that's just what it's about. And winning the cup.
These are our predictions based on a grim first 18 games of the season. We're not being negative for the sake of it. Like we're being negative because we're in a negative position on the table. Simple as that. Like, and but if there is a fantastic transfer window, like you see the way Wayne gets and we all get when players come in and there's, we're bursting with excitement, and if we're proved wrong, by God, but we can only go with the cold hard facts and the data that's in front of us. Like
Ian Draper, with the last one here. Last week you were talking about what rules would you like to see brought in from other sports. How about if a goal kick goes out of play without touching the ground, the throw-in takes place 6 yards out, like in rugby, when the ball goes out of play from a clearance?
I couldn't detest rugby, the Irish rugby team, Munster, Leinster, with any more detest or hate that I possibly could. So any rule that even resembles some nonsense from rugby, no, thank you.
Jackie.
I understand where he's coming from. It's just like, why is there such a desire to mess around with the game? Like, one of the things Kieran Maguire said to us is that one of the advantages the League of Ireland has is the Premier League in England is a completely sanitised league. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's completely sanitised. You can't say boo or there's hassle, whereas he was making the point, one of the things that can attract people still to the League of Ireland is you can have a full back going straight through the left winger and then claiming the manager as he gets up off the floor, and giving it. You don't see that in the Premier League anymore. As a fan in Turner's Cross, I can still run from the top tier of the Donny Ford down the steps, turn right, over to the wall, down the steps again, get to the gate, and roar at Rob Harvey exactly what I think of his refereeing performance. A, nobody's going to stop me, and B, nobody's going to kick me out for doing so. You know, if that's in a Premier League ground, it's like you don't get down 2 steps before somebody's grabbing you and some steward is frog marching you out because you're too aggressive or you're not saying nice things about the referee. And the point is, why do we want to? I don't want to change the game. I don't want to mess with the rules of the game as such. I don't want to change the game. I don't want to bring aspects of rugby into the game. Like everybody says, oh, do the rugby thing where only the captain can speak to the referee and the rugby captains are so respectful. Well, I kind of want Greg Bolger or Charlie Lyons to tell the referee he's a prick and he's not having a good game and he's fucked us over and that should have been a penalty or that should have been a red card or, you know, whatever the case might be. I don't want them saying, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, you're right, we're all wrong, you know? So like, there seems to be this fascination with messing with the game and messing with the rules of the game. Just leave it alone. No, that's not to dismiss the tweet and I understand the question and look, there's merit.
Yeah, in fairness.
Let's just leave the game alone. Let's just stop messing with it.
I saw one recently, lads. You won't believe this. Under 12s players, and they were doing that thing. You know, when the games finish in the Premier League and the players are walking off, and you know you might have 2 players who play together for a national team and they're covering up their mouths because because of the lip readers and all this that, and find out what the lads were doing that like. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious me. Like,
but that's what they're seeing on TV, like, you know.
I don't blame the kids. Like, it's just this is the nonsense. Like, and as you said, Dex, it just resonated there when you said you can't say boo, you can't, you know, you can't criticize the ref, you can't get in someone's face, you can't, you know. And look, not saying we're condoning violence or anything like that, but like, you know, I think anyone who's listening to this and long-term Cork City fans know exactly what we're talking about.
But it's every Cork City fan's right to clear 2 levels of the Donny Ford to tell Rob Harvey that you're a useless prick. Like, I mean, that's every Cork City fan's right. Like,
and if you don't exercise that right, you're not a Cork City fan.
Yeah, and it should never be taken away from people. Like, you know, just remember that.
You're a dipper if you don't.
The Bohs Preview. Look, last time we had them in Turner's Cross, we won the game. One of our, 2 wins of the season. Declan Carey.
Will Greta make an appearance? I'm sure the club will try and market this to bring a few fucking bums and seats. Like, Jesus. Oh,
they'd surely bring her into the easy living.
We talked about it there to Kieran Maguire. Like, what about that photograph? Like, I don't think that they'll sell 5,000 jerseys off the back of it. I listened back to the Kieran Maguire interview, and you said that. I can't see it. I don't think they sell as many jerseys as they suggest. But that's just my hunch. But yeah, like they're on a decent run now, Dan, as well. They're are they second at the moment? Yeah, the evidence isn't there. I just can't see us getting much.
I just think they might be in holiday mode.
I'll take it.
We kind of know we're in a dogfight. They might be still switched off on the beach in Mallorca.
Our lads have headed off to the beach in some cases too. Like Cahill's away with the.
Well, I know. At least they know the shit before they leave.
Yeah, but I think I would take a fantastic 0-0 victory, get the clean sheet on the board, move on, and build from there.
Decky, what do you make of the Bohs coming to town?
Clean sheets aren't worth the bollocks to us if we don't win the game. Like the mindset now has to be win games. It just has to be. There's no getting away from that. Like, in my opinion, anyway. We've 18 games left. We probably need to win 9 of them. You know, 27. Give us 39 points. Like, yeah. Maybe it won't go that high, but we definitely probably need to win 8. At Bohs at home is a very good chance. We've beaten them once already. Sean Grehan has gone back to Crystal Palace. He was on loan there from Crystal Palace. He was possibly the best centre-back in the league. Definitely up there. So they have a hole to fill there now. I presume he's gone. I know he's going back. I presume he has gone. I saw he'll pitch up out in Turner's Cross in a fortnight's time and I look like a fool, but they're definitely losing him. Look, it's Bohs, Greta Thunberg, jerseys, DC Fontaines, no trophies in 17 years, you know, dilapidated stadium. Like, it's just Bohs, like, you know, and we need to get back into this mindset of not being bothered about who we play. It doesn't matter if it's Bohs. It doesn't matter if it's Waterford, Sligo, the Shamrocks. It doesn't matter. It's us in Turner's Cross. And I think we saw a bit of that on Friday night, and Jordan Nash referenced it. On the front foot, taking the game to them. This is our home. This is our territory. You're not coming in here and having an easy time and just walking out the gate with 3 points. So I think we beat them. I think Dan is right. I think the games back off the break can be a little weird. Like, players are away for a week. They come back. I saw some lad, I can't think who it was now, on Twitter. They said he came back 2.5 kilograms overweight, and after being on the beer in Spain for 11 days or something, like, so there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I just hope that we're back and we're at it and we're out of the blocks quickly. And as you said, maybe some of the Bohs lads are still in Dublin Airport, only making their way back, and look, there's no scientific notion to this. It's just basically we need to go out and do them, like, and we Turner's Cross is going to be where we secure our league position for the year, or where we fail to secure it. Win your home games, win the majority of them. As Jordan said, play on the front foot, play with boys, play with integrity, play for the shirt, see where it takes you. And I'd be hopeful it takes us to 3 points against Bohs anyway. But it's 10 days away from here, so a lot can happen in 10 days as well.
Yeah, and like Dick, look, my prediction is a 0-0. I just don't. I think we actually have been scoring pretty well in games, and it'd be surprising if we didn't score at all. Nah, like we get at least one. We get at least one, like, don't we?
Yeah, but
I know we got spanked in the odd 1 or 2 games, but like, yeah, we generally do score goals though. A goal at least. So like a 0-0 is probably, City to lose and both teams to score is the bet of the year, like, isn't it? But
yeah,
like, look, I know what you're saying. Like, the mindset is we have to go out and win games, and that's what I said at the beginning. Like, we got rid of Tim Clancy, and we haven't won a game since, and that has to change very quickly. Like, I hope we beat Bohs, and I'm hoping that I'm completely surprised and we put together the complete performance in 90 minutes, but I just can't see it. And as optimistic as I can be with the realistic information in front of me, 0-0 I think would be, you know what, I wouldn't be booing them off the pitch, like, if it was a good performance and we got a point and kept a clean sheet, because we haven't kept one in 18 games, and I think it could, at least we get a positive aspect to it by keeping a clean sheet, and it might give the defence a bit of confidence.
You're saying 0-0. I'll go 2-1. Maguire and then Mbengs finally gets a goal, sends the shade into ruptures.
Yeah.
Decky, what do you think?
3-1. Maguire gets 2 and a Greta Thunberg OG.
We'll take it. We will take it.
Oh, Lord. They're just so cringe, aren't they? Like, I just can't. And I know what you're going to say. Before you say it, I know, like, offering your man in Nigeria the trial and all that stuff, and we've been cringy ourselves in the past, like, but they're just so consistently cringy.
Here's the thing, right? You see, I over the last 3 years, I've a new view on things. Like, there's like every club in the league, there's great people behind the scenes at Bohs. There is, like, and I know people will hate me saying this, but I see it especially from the Last Dance, like, there is very good people behind the scenes at Bohs, but it's just as a club, it's just like, no, it's not for me. Like, football is about winning trophies. It's always been about winning trophies. It will always be about winning trophies. You haven't won one in 17 years. Look, there's great work done around the place. Palestine stuff is stuff they can be proud of. Everybody would say that without fear of contradiction. Football is about winning trophies. So don't come on Twitter and give us shit, and don't go on Instagram and give us shit when you haven't won anything in fucking donkey's years. Like, that's just the bottom line of it. Like, and as I said, there's great people there at Bohs. Those great people have never, probably haven't lifted a trophy. They haven't lifted one in 17 years or whatever it is. Like so,
yeah, they're just a bit too left for me. Yeah, I don't mind the left or the right or whatever.
Take really any notice of politics or religion.
And
we have a game against Celtic in a few weeks' time. Yeah, who cares? Like, it's purely religious stuff. Like, I have no interest in it.
Well,
None.
Not just religion, but anyway, moving on.
Kerry, you get yourself into trouble now, all right? So we'll end it here. Just as a forewarning, there'll be no pod next week. So when the Bohs fans are listening, or trying to listen to us, they'll have to go back to this one. But I don't know, is there going to be a Last Damas Decky next week?
There is a Last Damas next week. There is.
Okay.
There hasn't been for the last 2 weeks, but we are back. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I already know some of the points that are up for discussion. I've been talking to Shaw the Cook today. Yeah. Carla Ward may not be getting as easy a ride from Last Davis as she's getting from the rest of the media. Let's just put it that way.
Right, we'll be sure to check out Last Damas when that drops anyway, if you want your toe-tappy goodness.
And of course, the interview with Karen Maguire that we've been pushing non-stop to insufferable levels for the last couple of days. So we don't apologise one bit. We're delighted to get Karen on. Karen, your toe tap mug is in the post. And stay tuned, toe tappers. There's plenty of toe tap merchandise on the way. Surprise, surprise, the ORC arrives and merchandise starts rolling in. So stay tuned on that one. We'll keep everyone posted. Exciting things in the works.
Just looking for toe tap to go bust now in the next while. Will be fucked.
Can he relegate toe tap? Can he?
Yeah, I can rescue toe tap. Like I've a strong track record of rescuing football clubs from the grim realities of doom. But anyway,
grim reality of relegation that you oversaw.
As I said to you, if we all say that Shamrock Rovers League win that year has an asterisk on it because it was a shortened season, then any events of that year are surely under dispute. And look, yeah, I still hold the title of the most exciting Cork City season in the last 5 years, 2022. It was fantastic, great year for the club, and that's a trophy I hold there. So
doesn't even count first division.
Adios.
Adios.
Thank God you saved me. Zero miedo, amigos.